everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Crag Chat Climbing Podcast. Today, I have Sofia Jin on the podcast. I started following Sofia on Instagram and just looked at some of her climbing videos on YouTube, and she consistently makes me laugh every single day. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
So tell me a little bit about how old were you when you started climbing and just like how you got started in general.
Yeah, so I started climbing at university. So I joined my university's climbing team. I feel like I came to it, I say quite late, just because most people that I know seem to have been climbing since they were quite young. But I grew up in a city. I grew up in Singapore. I didn't know anyone that climbed. There was also no culture of sort of outdoors climbing because there is no outdoor climbing in Singapore. But it was something that I always dreamed of doing because I love nature and I wanted to be outdoors and I wanted to be in the mountains. And it was really the adventure aspect of climbing that drew me in. And so when I had the opportunity, I abandoned my original sport, which was Muay Thai, and I switched into climbing.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I haven't really talked to anyone that has been on like a collegiate climbing team. So, how was that? Like, did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, I didn't actually, I say team, I didn't compete. So,
Oh, okay.
you could just kind of join the training sessions and not compete. I kind of regret not having done that because I think it would have been a really fun experience. And London has a really strong competitive climbing, like, university circuit. But it just was never really the point of climbing for me to be competitive with it.
Yeah, for sure. I totally feel the same way. I was talking to one of my other friends and I was talking about how like all the sports that I tend to gravitate towards are the one where there's like a team aspect in a sense. Like in climbing, there is a team aspect in the sense that like you're all cheering each other on and like you're doing the same problems, but at the same time, it's like your own individual sport, if that makes sense.
Me too. I've always been the same. And my mother really wanted me to be part of like a team sport, like like a netball or a rugby. And I tried that, and it wasn't my speed. I just really like sports that have camaraderie and you're with people, but you're doing it, but it's kind of you versus yourself. I've always preferred that.
Yeah. So speaking of your mom, you made a couple of funny videos about your mom. I'm curious, like, how does she feel about climbing and adventure? Because like my mom is like, well, as long as you're being safe, honey. So I'm just curious, how does your mom feel about it all?
There is no as long as you're being safe. Like inherently the whole thing appears very, very dangerous to her. And it's kind of like, when you kind of meet people that don't climb and they've seen free solo and they think that's what it is. And
Hmm.
I can't even explain to my mother, like she has no kind of context for the stuff that I do is really not. I mean, there's always an inherent risk to being outside, but I'm not doing anything that's like too crazy. I don't like
Yeah.
high balls. I'm really quite, I think I'm quite safe with it. So
Do you
yeah.
trad climb at all?
No, see, I'm so the opposite to my parents. It's really funny. I think if I wasn't so obviously mixed race, if I wasn't like so obviously a combination of them, I would believe them when they joke to me and they say, we think we brought the wrong baby back from the hospital. They always say that because I'm so different from them. And they have no interest in like sort of outdoor sports and sort of adventure and stuff like that. And they have no idea where I got it from.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think that's like it's really like a thing of nurture versus nature on a lot of that stuff, but like at the same time it's like two different siblings can take the exact same relationship that they have with their parents and just like one learns one thing from it and one learns the exact opposite thing. And I know
Exactly.
none of
Yeah.
my siblings like climbing either. Well, I have one younger sibling that would probably do it if she had more access to it. Tell me a little bit. You're on the North Face Explorer team. Tell me like a
Mhm.
little bit about how you got into that.
Yeah, so I think there's maybe a little bit of confusion about what that is. So the North Face has an athlete team, which is exactly what you would imagine. Most of them are kind of, at the top of their sport or they're competing and they're pushing the frontiers of that sport forwards. And then the Explorer team is something that I haven't really seen any other brand do, which was, I think it was designed to expand the definition of who explores and the ways in which we explore, and essentially just to be kind of more conclusive and perhaps from a marketing perspective to kind of bridge that gap between like the elite athlete and then like sort of the everyday man. And is designed, it's meant to complement the athlete roster. And within the Explorer team, there is so much diversity. Like there are people in the Explorer team who do actually have athlete contracts with other brands, and they are very, very good at their sport. I consider them to be athletes. And then there are some people who are kind of more sort of content creators, influencers. Um, so that's kind of what I'm on. I did formerly have an athlete contract with another brand, but now it's just North Face. And the way I got into that was kind of random. I mean, I think they just took this North Face and the other brand at the same time, noticed me at the same time because of the kind of content I was putting out and some of the things I was doing. It definitely was uh, about kind of having the audience and creating this unique content. I mean, the way that it's been described to me from the intermediary agencies and from people at North Face is kind of like they're looking for people that are really good at telling stories. And I was described as an explorer with a gift for storytelling. So yeah.
It's so funny because as someone that makes YouTube videos, like I both love and hate the word storytelling because like I get what they mean. Don't get me wrong, I get what they mean.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just like a buzzword,
I
you
agree. Oh my God. Today
know?
I heard this song. It was called like Content Creator Anthem. And the chorus was just something like content creator. Nobody knows what that means. And I was like, yeah, I have no idea. Like, what is that? I hate saying that. And even in my job, because I do professionally two or three different things, when I look at my own bio and it says like presenter and voice actor and this thing, it kind of reminds me of like a dating profile where a guy is just like entrepreneur, DJ, astronaut. I'm like, you're not really all those things.
You should put
I know
astronaut
exactly
on
what
your
you mean.
bio just to see if people bite, like if you get
I
any.
know. I agree.
You brought up a good point about how like the line between athlete and like what that means, like being a professional
Mm.
athlete, just in the like digital age of things, like what does that actually mean? And I think that like it's not enough to just be a good athlete anymore and perform at your sport like at the highest level. You also have to have something that you stand for and be willing to like share that story with others. I think to be like
Mm.
truly successful, I think I mean at least in the eyes of like the general public, because it's really hard for someone that's like a V, I don't know, 0, 1, 2 climber to like relate to climbing those like extremely hard grades, but it's a lot easier
Mm.
for them to relate to someone that shows like, hey, just because I'm climbing harder grades doesn't mean that I'm not struggling just like you are. And I think that's like the way that professional athletes can relate to like the average climber.
Yeah, I completely agree. I still do think like it's really just about, I think having and representing a broad range of experiences within a sport can only ever be a good thing. And it's really important that we still support those athletes who are at the frontier of the sport and pushing the sport forwards and doing these things that I will not be doing. And then at the same time, it's so nice to have that full range of experience being shown and all the colors of the sport. I think it's such a good thing
Yeah.
to represent like the full spectrum.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to hear about your recent climbing trips. So you've been to Thailand and you also went to Spain. Also, you also went to LA, I think. So tell me a little bit.
Like people think that I don't do anything. This was okay. I can explain more about these trips if you want.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
Thailand was my family live in Singapore. I was raised in Singapore, so I visit them every Christmas. And while I was in Singapore, one of my friends said, "Oh, I'm climbing in Krabi in Thailand," and I thought, "Oh my God, I'm so close. I'm in this region like once a year, and I've always wanted to climb there." And I think I can do it for real cheap. And so I did. I went there only for like 3, 4 days. This is a completely unnecessary detail, but I had just got my wisdom teeth removed. So I was so uncomfortable. And I just thought, I just deserve some fun right now. So I went to climb in Thailand before I had to come back to London. And it was amazing. It was so beautiful. Like you might have seen any video clips of me like climbing above the sea, and it's like renowned for having really hard climbs, really great multi pitches, like just a great adventurous place to go. And Spain was, I think slightly more spontaneous. I'm part of a few different climbing group chats in London, and then one of them was putting together this trip to Spain. Again, it was a really big group, so it was reasonably priced. It was like, oh, it was like a long weekend. And so I was able to go to climb in Spain for the second time in my life. The first time that I went was a deep water solo trip to Mallorca, which was really fun, except I kept landing on jellyfish. Oh
Oh
my God. I was
no.
like, I'm going to go John Wick on all these jellyfish. They're out to get me. LA was work related. And while I was there, I thought to myself, I need to climb something. So I went bouldering in Palm Springs with some friends. And I was nervous because I know it costs a lot to go to hospital in America. And I was like, I cannot be out here like doing anything dodgy or too difficult or too high, because if I fall and I break my ankle, like I cannot afford it. I was doing just like easy climbs, and it was really, really nice. So those are sort of the three outdoor climbs I've done recently.
I know that on the Thailand trip, because Thailand is like one place that I really want to climb at. It just looks
Mhm.
so gorgeous. Your friend, I forget his name. Um,
Kong,
Kong.
Kang, Kong. Yeah.
Kong, you had a little segment where you were making fun of his Coke consumption. Like he lit not like the drug. Let me be
Yeah.
clear.
Let's just
Let me
clarify.
be clear. Coke, a cola, the drink.
Yes.
You were saying that Kong was powered by Coke. Is there any like Sophia equivalent? Like, is there anything on climbing trips that's like your go-to? Like, you just have to have it. It's like
Oh
a
my God,
tradition.
I love chocolate so much. I've always been a big chocoholic. When I was like 12, I did this project on how I wanted to be like a chocolatier at school. And so I would say chocolate, but when I go somewhere really hot, it always melts. But if I can have chocolate, I will have chocolate everywhere. In Thailand, not so much, not as easy, but I will try and bring chocolate with me everywhere. It's actually a very big reason to get more into alpinism, because the environment, I think, would just preserve the chocolate more.
Right, right. Yeah, you got to do it for
Yeah.
that. Do you have a chocolate preference, like milk, dark, white? Does it
Oh
matter?
my goodness. It doesn't matter. I love all chocolates. I do like dark chocolate, but I cannot do super dark. You know, some people who are just like clearly psychopaths and will just have like a 99% dark chocolate. I can't do that. It makes me feel ill.
I'm glad you had fun on all those trips. I've been to Mallorca too recently and it was a blast. But you said you went to El Chero in Spain this time. So I'd love to get to Spain as well. Like the main part of Spain because I feel like I said I went to Spain, but I really just went to like this little island off the coast that's like not even, you know what I mean?
Yes, it looked really good. We were there like kind of the same time.
Were we?
I don't know. We were there at a very, very similar time. You and I have just been like passing ships in the night. You're like coming through London, but I'm not there. And then you're in Mallorca, but I'm in El Charo, which is so we're always
Yeah.
like a degree apart.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about like you're a lot more concerned about just the overall experience of a climbing trip than you
Mhm.
are about like trying to chase grades or anything like that. I
Yes.
totally agree. I do like to push myself, but I also like to just like explore. What matters to you on a climbing trip? And the reason I'm asking this is because I was listening to you on another podcast and you said the more clarity you have about the things that matter to you, the less you'll be bothered about the things that don't. I really resonate with it. So I'm curious, like what matters to you on a climbing trip?
The people, the people for anywhere I go, for anything I do, the people are so important. I have traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of places and found myself like in a lot of, diverse situations. And it's always the people. So for me, it's really, really important to be surrounded by good people who are supportive and encouraging. And their value system is aligned with my own. Because if I climb with people who really, what they value about climbing, or the way for them to see you as a valuable member of the climbing community, if that's all to do with just the numbers and how hard you can climb, and that's for me is too stressful. And it's fine if that's your thing and you want to hang out with people who feel the same way and you feel like that's how you want to spend your time, but I don't want anyone putting that on me. Like we all can be here and have different experiences. You don't need to hold everybody to the same sort of standard. So for me, the people are really, really important. And I really, really liked El Charo because that was the most mixed ability group of climbers I've ever climbed with. I have climbed with some people who, they want to go hard, and everyone's like a very sort of conventionally strong climber. And that group was so mixed, and everyone was just as happy and pleased for each other no matter what. Like we were all just it's just such a supportive environment. I think for me that's really the most important thing, because I am hard on myself as it is, just sort of naturally, and I don't need this for me is a reprieve, it's an escape, and it's predominantly something that I do for my mental health and also to be close to nature. It's not something that I feel like I need to like win at or like conquer. It's almost spiritual for me, honestly, so I need people that understand that.
I would agree. I don't do many trips climbing alone, but I did do one bouldering trip where Jed was supposed to come with me and he got sick. And I went out by myself, and it was just so interesting because I realized how much the people really do make the trip for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely relate to that a lot. So you're involved in making a lot of adventure-based type content just through all the various things that you do. So I'm curious to know, what's one of your favorite pieces of climbing content and why?
My favorite films The Dawn Wall, my favorite film of all time. I actually have the Dawn Wall poster hanging in my bedroom. Um, The Alpinist, another film, and Black Ice, which is a short film that I saw at Real Rock and I've seen multiple times since at like various screenings. And I love these films so much because to me, these are not climbing stories, they're human stories, and you don't have to be an athlete to understand it. Um, the Dawn Wall made such a huge impact on me when I watched that. I really, and I still to this day, if I'm really in need of inspiration or if I'm kind of in a low place, I watch that because it's just such an incredible story that I think is fundamentally about a man on the edge and is faced with a choice to either keep going or give up. And it's about perseverance and consistency. And, I kind of came away from that thinking like, wow, you can really gain a lot in life simply by being the last man to give up. Like you don't necessarily always have to get something right the first go. You can keep going at it and get a lot from that. And it's also the camaraderie as well. I like to see films about camaraderie. I think Black Ice did that really well. I think, again, The Dawn Wall did that so well. And, he could have abandoned Kevin. Like I heard someone in the film say that a more callous man might have, but he didn't. And it was really just uplifting and so inspiring. And The Alpinist was special to me as well because that really spoke to my feelings about nature and wanting to climb for kind of the spirituality of it. Like I felt like it was so spiritual, Marc-Andre Leclerc's relationship to climbing. And I was also part of the press junket for that film. So I had a chance to interview one of the directors, Peter Mortimer, and I got to see it early. That made it really special for me as well. So I'd say those three pieces of climbing media.
Yeah, I think those are all great picks. I know that for me, out of those three, personally, the Alpinist, like legitimately for 3 weeks, I had like a, okay, what is life about type of a crisis. But I
Yeah.
actually have not been able to watch the Alpinist since then for fear that I will go into another what is life crisis. And I just can't right now. I have too much to do.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it again either.
We talked a little bit about how you do a bunch of things for work. So you host things, you're part of the exploring team, you do voice acting, which by the way, I wanted to throw out. You should try to see if there's like a climbing animated film and try to be like the animated voice of a climber. Like that'd be sick. Um
I would love to do that. Yeah.
yeah, if anyone's listening to this and has something like that for Sophia,
Yeah, hit me
let her
up.
know. But I can relate to having a very busy work schedule and being kind of all over. So I guess, do you have any tips on how to like manage getting out there and adventuring, but also like working and just like the chaos? Because I definitely have learned a little bit more over the past few months about how to manage it better. But it's
Mm.
still really difficult sometimes.
It is, and I wish that I had a really good response. Balance is something that I really, really struggle with. And when I was in therapy, it was kind of the theme that my therapist kept coming back to. And she was just like, your life is so, like your work life is so inconsistent, especially as a creative. you never really know when the next job is coming or how much it's going to pay. And that is stressful. You're kind of living constantly a little bit stressed out about that. And she just told me you need to create as much consistency as you can in other areas of your life. And I guess maybe I would forward that advice to anybody else and say that those things that our parents try to, or, hopefully have tried to drill into us about eating well and sleeping at a good time and doing a little bit of movement. I mean, they say it for a reason, because those are the habits that really underpin like so much of your mental well-being comes from these very simple things that you do every day and hopefully can do consistently. But for me, everything really, because my work is so inconsistent, if I'm inconsistent with everything else and I eat at random times and I sleep at random different times as well, I mean, everything starts to feel really overwhelming. And that's something that I struggle with. So for me, like as much as possible, I try and find some kind of routine in the day. And for me at the moment, that's kind of getting up and having a coffee and reading a portion of a book before I get on with the day. Like I just need to have certain anchors throughout my day that stay somewhat the same. Yeah, but it is difficult. It is really difficult. I mean, I reached my peak physical fitness early last year. And then for like the last 9, 10 months, I just haven't had time. I haven't been training as much. I've only just gotten back into it. Some good things came as a result of that. I think I made some progress in my career and other areas of my life, but I was really having to sacrifice on training time as a result. And I lost a lot of strength. And I do feel insecure about it, but I also think that I've kind of had enough experience to contextualize that. And I'm not getting too bent out of shape on that. I know it's fine and change is normal and necessary. It also did make me realize how much of a privilege of time it was to be able to train to kind of the level that I was. I was kind of struggling a little bit creatively, so I wasn't booking as many jobs. I had all this time to train and I was really fit, but I was like, damn, I really now appreciate like,
Yeah.
it's rare that anybody is like super in shape and on their game unless they are like a full-time athlete, because it's difficult. It's really hard to have everything together.
Yeah. It's crazy. Everything that you just said, it's basically like you just scooped it out of my brain because that's been the past few months for me too. So I'm sorry that you're struggling, but also it makes me feel less alone. And I think that you sharing it is really helpful to other people to see that, like, even people that have a lot going on for them in both like climbing and their career and just everything still like struggle with time because time's like the one thing that you can't get more of. So
Yes. Yeah. And
yeah.
I like my social life. I think my social life is a lot more dry than people think it is, because I'm still very much in my sort of like hustle stage as a creative, as an artist, especially with like the voice acting stuff like that stuff can tend to come in extremely last minute. There have been times I've sort of canceled on trips, canceled on friends. And it's hard. I kind of am always like, oh my God, I don't have enough time to see my friends. Are they gonna not like me because I can't see them that often? And it's something that I think about a lot.
It sounds like you have a lot of goals around just like consistency in your life. One other goal that you have is to cook more. Is there anything that you've made this year that you love eating, like after you go climbing or maybe before you go climbing? Is there anything that you've
Yes.
discovered?
Yes, I really said I'm gonna learn a new recipe every week, and then I just found one thing I liked and make that all the time, and
Fair.
that is yeah, that's a spicy tomato nduja pasta. Nduja is a type of like spicy salami sausage, and it's just so good. It's so good. I make that all the time. That's my favorite thing to eat. Had it yesterday. Had it today. I'm like, there's like, I am like 80% pasta at this point, pasta sauce flowing through my veins. That's the thing I like.
Yeah, well, pasta is a great answer. I'll be putting out a video here in the next couple of months about how I've been working on my nutrition, and pasta is definitely included in that. So,
Yeah.
so another goal you had, this is a little bit sillier, or actually, this is very serious. I'm so sorry to insult this goal. You wanted to meet a wombat. How is that going?
Yes. Oh my God. I really, so I love animals and just like wildlife. So, so great. But so I basically said that my goal for 2023 was to meet a wombat. which is proving logistically much harder than I thought because I want to meet it in the wild. Like people have been DMing me saying, "Oh, there's like a zoo in England you can go," and I was like, "I don't want to
Yeah.
see a wombat in the zoo. I want to see wombat in the wild." Da da da. And I mean, need to go to Tasmania basically to see a wombat, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like I can easily do that. But I do know someone who is a zookeeper at Australia Zoo, and he hangs out with wombats all the time. And he also seems to have a relationship with a wombat sanctuary in Tasmania, I believe. So I'm kind of thinking that he might be the way that I can build this connection and go to a wombat sanctuary. So that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. The best of luck to you in that in that very serious goal. I love it. I don't know, at least for me, you gotta have like just stupid stuff to do. It's so fun. Like it's more fun than like the serious stuff. You know what I mean?
I
Like
completely
why
agree.
not?
I completely agree. My goals for this year were to meet a wombat and to do an open mic night. Those are my goals.
Did you have you done the open mic night?
I have
Open
done
mic.
neither. No, I've not
Okay.
done neither. I know. The open mic night is a lot easier. I'm just like trying to find the time to do it.
Like, do you mean
Terrified.
like comedy or singing
Mm-hmm.
or okay,
Oh
okay.
my God, not singing. No, comedy.
What else are you excited for this year in climbing? Like, do you have any fun trips coming up or any fun like presenting opportunities that you get? Yeah, what are you excited about?
I do have some outdoor climbing things I'm excited about. I am going to Chamonix in a couple weeks' time, which is super exciting. I'm doing an alpine skills course which is hopefully going to equip me with more knowledge and consolidate my skills and make me feel more confident about moving autonomously in that environment, which is a goal of mine. I've done alpine stuff before with friends, but it's different from having someone kind of really specifically teach you, instruct you, and there are certain things I really want to be sure of. So I'm going to do that. That's like 3 or 4 days. And then after that, there is something that I want to climb in Chamonix. It's a dream climb of mine and I don't want to talk.
Apparently, Sophia did really not want to talk about it because the Wi Fi cut out here for just a sec. But basically, she was just saying that she's nervous and also excited.
Excited, but I'm also like, oh my God, this is like, I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to do it. And
Yeah,
that's what I've been training for. So it's essentially a spiky, very spiky piece of rock, almost like a shark fin, about 4,000 meters. And that's what I want to do. So I'm going to hopefully do that. And if I do, you might see like a vlog about it or stuff about it on Instagram. And then I didn't also realize that the World Cup is happening in Chamonix at that time. And I've got some friends who are competing. So I'll hopefully get to hang out with them as well, which will be awesome. And then I might join Kong again. So Kong is going to the Dolomites for a bit of climbing. And I thought, ooh, that could be a good thing to join for a couple days. And I might be able to make a vlog with him as well. So that's kind of what I'm most excited for.
yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. Good luck on that shark tooth 4,000 meter climb.
Thank you.
Um, that is it's gonna be so fun and you're gonna have a blast. So just have fun with it and I'm sure you'll do
I
great.
hope. Oh my God, I'm nervous. I saw it for I saw it this climb for the first time when I was in Chamonix a couple of years ago. I was hosting something for the North Face. And so we had like all the North Face or like some of the North Face athletes and guides and stuff. And yeah, that's when I first came to know about this particular climb. And I always said to myself, oh, I really want to come back and do that and train for that. So that is what I have been training for. And I hope I do it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good thing you're a little nervous. If you're not nervous, it means you're not dreaming big enough.
Oh, I like it. Buzz.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time for being on. If people want to like connect with you or learn more about you, where can they find you on all of the internet things?
Yes. So on Instagram is my thing that I know how to use the best. It's Sofjin, SOFJIN_, which people think is my name. Like once a year, I'll be like recognized in a climbing gym and someone's like, oh, Sofjin. So yeah, Sofjin_, youtube.com/Sofia Jin, SOFIAJIN. And TikTok, I think I'm I don't know what the hell I am on TikTok. I'm
Fair.
just trying to get into TikTok. It's probably Sophia Jin or Soft Jin, but TikTok is raggedy. Oh my God. It's like it's difficult. It's a weird place.
I haven't even tried. I'm scared to be honest. Well, cool. Well, Sophia, thanks so much for being on and thanks to everyone for listening.
Well, I feel like we should do a part two of this if
Yeah.
you're down.
Yeah. Sophia, I would love to do a part two, and we already talked about a few topics that we'd like to touch on next time. But if you are someone listening that has a question or a topic that you'd like Sophia and I to talk about the next time that we get together on this podcast, then go ahead and DM me on Insta at Court Lives Happy, or just drop your comment in the comment section below, and we'll try and incorporate it into the next episode. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, stay hyped.